The job listing didn't mention the rules. It mentioned isolation, long nights, limited contact. But it didn't mention what happens after sunset, or why everyone who worked there before me left early. The offer. The location was deep in the Appalachian mountains. No town nearby. No cell signal. Just a maintenance station connected to a long, unused service road. According to the listing, the job was simple. Monitor equipment, log readings, stay on site overnight. 4 nights a week. Good pay. No experience required. That should have been the warning. Getting there. The drive took longer than expected. GPS stopped working about 20 miles out. After that, it was just road signs. Old ones. Faded. Some of them didn't list destinations, just distances. The last sign read, "Service access, 12 miles. No arrows. No explanation." The station. The building was smaller than I expected. Concrete. 1 floor. Surrounded by trees on all sides. No fence. No lights outside. Just forest. Inside, everything worked. Power. Water. A radio unit mounted near the desk. And a binder. Thick. The binder. The front page said, "Overnight procedures. No logo. No company name. Just text." The first few pages were normal. Equipment checks. Logging times. Emergency contacts that didn't list phone numbers. Just radio channels. Then the tone changed. The rules. Halfway through the binder, a section was highlighted. Not bolded. Not underlined. Just marked. It was titled, "After Dark Guidelines." Rule 1. Do not leave the building after sunset. No explanation. Rule 2. If you hear footsteps outside the station, do not respond. It did not say human footsteps. Rule 3. If the radio activates on its own, listen. Do not speak first. That's when I checked the time. 6:42 p.m. Sunset was in 18 minutes. The forest at dusk. As the light faded, the forest didn't get darker. It got quieter. No wind. No insects. No distant animal sounds. Just stillness. And then something moved. Not close. Far out. Too far to see clearly, but close enough to notice the timing. The moment the sun disappeared, the radio clicked on. The radio signal. The radio didn't turn on loudly. There was no static burst, no alert tone. Just a quiet click, like something realizing it was time to start. I remembered the rule. Listen, do not speak first. What came through? At first it sounded like interference. Low frequency. Uneven. Almost like wind moving through a tunnel. But then the pattern settled, and I realized it wasn't noise. It was breathing. Not close. Not amplified. Just present. The breathing wasn't synced to mine. It was slower. Measured. Like it was conserving energy. The first transmission. After about 20 seconds, a voice came through. Not loud. Not distorted. Calm. Too calm. This station is occupied. The voice didn't ask a question. It made a statement. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Because according to the binder, if you spoke first, you acknowledged presence. What occupied meant. The voice continued. Overnight monitoring is active. Again, no question. No request. Just information. It wasn't checking on me. It was checking through me. The sounds outside. That's when I heard it. Footsteps. Outside the building. Slow. Deliberate. Not circling. Passing. They didn't approach the door. They moved along the wall, as if following a path I couldn't see. Rule 2 made sense. I understood why the binder said not to respond. The footsteps weren't searching. They were confirming. Confirming that something inside was awake. The radio again. The voice returned. Same tone. Same calm delivery. Remain inside. That was it. No threats. No urgency. Just procedure. The forest reacts. As soon as the transmission ended, the forest changed. Not visually. Audibly. The insects came back. Wind returned. Normal nighttime sounds. Like a signal had just passed through. And the system reset. The note in the binder. I flipped back to the binder. There was handwriting I hadn't noticed before. Faded. Pressed hard into the paper. It read, "If they say the station is occupied, do not correct them." Why everyone left early. That's when it clicked. People didn't quit because of fear. They left because, after a few nights, the station stopped feeling like it belonged to them. End of part 2. The radio stayed quiet after that. The footsteps never returned. But the feeling remained that I wasn't being watched. I was being logged. The first rule that gets broken. No one breaks the rules on purpose. They break them because nothing happens at first. The second night was quiet. The third night, too. Same routine. Same radio check. Same message. That's when familiarity becomes dangerous. The question I shouldn't have asked. On the fourth night, the radio activated earlier than usual. Not by much. 30 seconds. Enough to notice. The breathing came through again. Slow. Controlled. The voice followed. This station is occupied. And for the first time, I answered. I said, yes. That single word changed the rhythm. What the forest did. The sound outside stopped. Not faded. Stopped. No insects. No wind. No distant movement. The silence wasn't empty. It felt attentive. The voice adjusted. The radio clicked again. Same voice. Same tone. Different wording. Occupancy confirmed. That wasn't a response. It was a record. Why the mountains don't echo at night. I stepped closer to the window. The trees were still. Too still. When I moved my foot, I didn't hear it outside. No echo. Sound wasn't traveling anymore. It was being absorbed. The marking process. The binder didn't mention this part, but the margins had notes. Different handwriting. Different pressure. One line stood out. Once acknowledged, the site remembers the voice. The radio knew my timing. The next transmission didn't wait for sunset. It came at 6:14 p.m. While there was still light outside. This station remains occupied. I hadn't said anything yet. It used my silence. Why previous workers didn't last. I finally understood the pattern. The first night, you listen. The second, you recognize. The third, you respond. After that, the station stops being a place. It becomes a role. The last rule. The final page of the binder was folded over. I hadn't seen it before. It said, if you are acknowledged, you are no longer temporary. That night, the radio didn't turn off. Even after sunrise. Even after I packed my things, it stayed open. Waiting. Leaving wasn't immediate. I didn't leave that night. Not because I couldn't. Because the rules didn't say what happens if you do. The radio stayed on, not transmitting. Just open. Outside, the forest remained quiet. Not silent. Contained. Like a room waiting for instructions. Morning didn't reset to anything. Sunrise came slowly. Light filtered through the trees. Birds returned. Wind moved again. But the station didn't feel empty. It felt complete. The radio clicked once. No voice. Just a tone. Then silence. I opened the logbook. A new line had been added. Not typed. Printed. Perfectly aligned. It read, "Overnight monitoring complete. Station status stable." There was no signature. Because the station didn't need one. Why I was able to leave. I left later that morning. Packed quietly. Locked the door. Drove back down the service road. Nothing followed me. Nothing tried to stop me. Because the station wasn't holding me. It had already recorded me. What happened after? A month later, the job listing reappeared. Same description. Same pay. One change. The title now read, "Overnight Site Presence, Temporary." Temporary for who? Was never specified. What the mountains keep. People talk about the Appalachian Mountains like they're alive. That's not accurate. They're older than that. They don't watch. They don't chase. They record. Every sound. Every pattern. Every voice that confirms presence. Final reflection. I don't take overnight jobs anymore. Not because I'm afraid, but because I understand what they're actually asking for. Not labor. Not skill. Just someone awake when the system needs continuity. In the next story, we'll talk about other places deep in the mountains, where the rules aren't written down, they're learned.